Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is a quick hit of The Incredible Baron. The game is a line tower defense game that comes out today on Steam for $4.99, with a 10% launch discount. The game is also available on iOS devices for the same price. But before I begin this quick hit, this key was obtained from the publisher for the purposes of review. That won't change my opinion of the game in the end, but you should know that because of FTC guidelines, as well as the whole morals thing, you know? Alright, so here's the deal. You've got 30 levels in total in the game, with 3 different difficulties each: Story, Silver, and Gold. You unlock the next levels by beating the level before at the specific rank. Before each mission, you have to choose your units. On the top there, you've got your 3 main buildings: the workshop, the hatchery, and the den. Now you start the game with only 1 building, but you eventually unlock the next 2. Those buildings have 4 square segments in them, representing a skill or unit I can put into it. Each of the different buildings have their own unique units and skills, so keep that in mind. The choices I make in terms of units will primarily be based on the color bars on the right side of the screen there. Those are the colors of the enemies I should expect in this level. In this case, I'm facing only blue units. Each unit color has 2 colors that it's weak to, and 2 colors that it's strong against, and so I'm choosing green and white creatures to summon appropriately. As you begin, you need to build up your buildings in order to summon your units. This, along with the units in question, cost gold, which you earn over time in the game. Each purchase of a building unlocks the next square space, so in order to unlock everything, I need to purchase a building upgrade 4 times, with the exception of the workshop, which starts with the first square unlocked. So my goal is to destroy the enemy base, and to do that, I need to take down towers and enemies. So I need to use my gold in order to purchase units to fight those enemies, and tear down those towers. Each unit has 3 main stats: speed, power, and health. They also can have a unique aspect or two beyond basic regular and ranged attacks, such as leaving an egg on the field, or exploding on death, dealing damage around them. Now, if you remember that enemy bar from the main status screen where I chose my units, that the color options there didn't include pink. Well, that's because the pink squares are specific skills. For example, the blunderbuss will do damage against a specific enemy on screen that I click on. They're rather useful in a pinch, but they have other benefits that I'll get to later. They use energy, the pink ball below the green marker. That regenerates in time as well as the second currency. You'll also notice the shovel in the top left of the screen. That's an alchemist shovel. Basically, I can purchase levels of it, and with each level I purchase, the unit's costs get cheaper and cheaper. So in order to purchase large amounts of units, I probably want to get a lot of those shovels early on, but I have to balance that with actually buying units and keeping my structures alive. And that's pretty much the basics. You buy units, you take down enemies using the appropriate units and skills, and try to take down the enemy base in the time given. Strategy-wise, it's not that complicated, and even at the higher difficulties, it's more about purchasing the right units for the enemies downscreen, and to take down the towers in question, which the towers themselves are your biggest hurdle. Those watermelons they throw do significant damage, and a lot of creatures won't be able to get to the tower without taking that damage, and that's if they didn't cross an enemy during that time. It's formulaic, but it does have a semi-addictive quality to it. And there is something to maximizing the damage you're producing and the specific units you are selecting. For example, I found that ranged characters did well against the towers in general, but I could only get them close if I had melee units soaking up the damage in question. Even beyond color choice, you will at times need to counter specific unit types in the game, which on the main level screen, it does give you a hint of what's coming, if you've seen that creature before. Which leads me to the unique twist that the game brings to the table. Enemy units can actually be researched and used by yourself. Encountering them makes you learn about them a tiny bit, and that blunderbuss and pistol I mentioned before, if I kill an enemy with it, and I don't already have the enemy, I seemingly learn more about it, getting me closer to get that unit for my own. Yes, killing things in the name of science. What more could you ask for? And to be fair, you'll probably need to do that, because some of these enemy types have real benefits to exploit. I personally love the blue slugs in the game, which gave me more energy to use, and I could spam my pistols and my mines all over the field. Now granted, there's only so much they can do with this simple level of stats and type behaviors, but for a $5 game, I was rather impressed with the depth of creatures here. What I wasn't impressed by was the template level design. With rare exceptions, here's the levels: 1 to 3 towers, enemies, and that's it. In terms of hazards, there's barely any variety. They could have done a lot more with it. Yes, the different unit types do make you play a little bit differently, but putting in sections that slow you, or maybe points that you have to capture first and hold for a period of time, they would have helped in the game's repetitive nature. Despite the enemy variety, you will be doing the same things over and over again. There are 2 to 3 levels that give you limited resources that you don't regenerate or have to keep a specific unit alive, but honestly, it didn't do enough to keep things fresh. The game has little quirks that annoyed me here and there as well. You see on the top of the screen that I can use hotkeys to summon the specific creatures, which I do appreciate. It helped in making the game more streamlined. But remember how I have to unlock those elements? Well, once you get to the second building and you build out of order, aka build parts of each building, the key bindings of each unit end up changing. The penguin is R right now, but it easily could turn into T if I built something more in the first building. That got annoying quickly. If it's bound to a key when it first shows up, then keep it on that key. Now note, the game does not have controller support, but the mouse and keyboard works fine here, except the implementation is a little flawed. Without using the mouse, to scroll left and right on the screen, you use the arrow keys, not A and D. Now this can be attributed to the number of biobles, but honestly, it would have made a lot more sense to keep those 2 keys separate and to have the biobles be something like F and G, H and I, so on and so forth. Now the game has a base story in between gameplay sections that I won't spoil, but it basically centers around an expedition, some jealousy, and a little bit of humor mixed in there. It's not winning any writing awards or revolutionizing the genre, but it did get a chuckle out of me at times, and frankly, it was a lot more than I expected. I did beat the base level of the game, and it took me about 3.5 hours to beat, with some early levels done on the silver and gold difficulties, so for the price, it's reasonable in terms of length. Again, you have to factor in the repetition factor during that time, but it is the sort of game that has that laid back yet engaging quality to it. It doesn't knock your socks off at any point, but it also doesn't make you fall asleep. Music-wise, the game actually has a reasonable soundtrack, which I've been playing in the background of this video. It did the levels justice in terms of fitting the themes, and I could see myself playing them in the background when I'm writing. The OST edition may be worth it in this case. In the end, The Incredible Baron is a good gateway game into the tower defense genre, and it does deliver at a reasonable price. It's got good production value, and while it can get repetitive, it has a quality to it that makes you want to keep playing. Good animations, a great soundtrack, and some little unique twists here and there, and you've got a good game under the surface here. It's probably one of the better $5 games out there at a non-sale price. If that sounds up your alley, I'd pick it up. Thanks for watching. Like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe if you want more content like this. In the description below, you'll find the Steam review accompanying this vid, along with social media that you can follow me on, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook groups. And if you want to support the channel, click that Patreon on the left of the screen. And remember, keep on gaming.